The college football preseason coaches poll is out. Which teams do the coaches think most highly of from the SEC? And former Heisman winner Danny Wuerffel stops by. Locked On SEC starts right now.
You are Locked On SEC, your daily podcast on the Southeastern Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what's up, everybody? Welcome to Locked On SEC. It's great to have you guys along. I'm Chris Gordy. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Shout out to our everydayers. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. Coming up on today's show, our sit-down conversation with former Heisman winner, Florida great Danny Wuerffel. Always a fun conversation to talk with him. He's doing some things off the football field, pickleball, as well as doing some great stuff with Allstate, the Great Works team, and of course the Wuerffel Award Trophy. Always doing some great stuff with them. So we'll get to that conversation in just a little bit, but we got to start with the news that came out yesterday as we got our first official preseason coaches poll, top 25. And let's take a look at it as Texas, the preseason number one team, according to the coaches. No big surprise there, with Ohio State coming in at number 2. Again, you could look at it this two ways. You could say Ohio State is the defending national champ. Yes, they lost a bunch. Texas lost a bunch. I think you could flip them and have Ohio State preseason number 1 and Texas preseason number 2, but I think it's the Arch Manning effect. I think Sark is getting a lot of credit, having Arch in, and again, if this were flipped and Arch were at Ohio State, I think Ohio State would be the perennial number 1 and Texas would be number 2. But either way, it's sitting this way that we're going to get these two teams in week 1. Obviously, Texas goes to Ohio State, so a matchup that everybody is looking forward to. The other teams coming in, the rest of basically the top 6, it's all the teams that made playoff runs last year. Penn State sitting at number 3, Georgia at number 4, Notre Dame at 5, and Clemson at 6. Not much argument there. Again, those were all teams that made playoff runs last year and had a lot of success. Now, it was funny. I saw somebody rehashed Joel Klatt's preseason poll where he has Penn State as the preseason number 1 team. I think he's the only one that is that high on Penn State. But again, that's look. I think Penn State's loaded. I think they got a lot of great pieces, but James Franklin, again, I always say, like, it's put up or shut up time. Like, every year we talk about Penn State being a great team, and yet they fall short against Ohio State and a lot of years Michigan as well on their schedule. So we'll see what they do this year. Georgia, number 4, is the interesting one. People, and I'll put myself in this category, giving Georgia the benefit of the doubt. Kirby Smart loses a ton, but, at Georgia, they reload. They don't rebuild. And so, again, can this defense get back to being what it once was? I saw somebody said, basically this was Georgia a handful of years ago with, lost a lot of names and a lot of no names on the defense, like not household names yet. And then that season, their defense went out and balled out, and they made themselves household names. Is that going to be one of those years at Georgia where we say, oh, these guys we didn't know how good they were. Turns out they're really damn good. But again, Georgia preseason top 4, not a big surprise there. Rounding out outside of the top 6, you got Oregon at number 7. The next SEC team that comes here, Texas at 1, Georgia at 4, Alabama at number 8, LSU at number 9. So sitting right there, the Tide and the Tigers, the two teams that, if we were picking, if we were told 4 teams from the SEC are going to make the 12-team playoff this year, pick the 4 teams. These are the 4 teams that most people are picking. These are the 4 teams that the coaches have voted on that they think, have most likely a chance to make the college football playoff. Now, Alabama does not play Texas. LSU does not play Texas. Alabama does play Georgia. They play them in Athens this year. And LSU plays Alabama. LSU plays at Alabama this year. So there's a little crossover there on the schedules, but not all the way, right? I mean, Texas and Georgia, they play each other. That game will be in Athens as well. It was in Austin last year. So Georgia plays both Texas and Bama. LSU only plays Bama. Texas avoids LSU and Bama. So chop it up however you want, but that's the top 4 teams in the SEC. Rounding out the rest of this list, you got Miami at number 10, Arizona State at number 11. Some folks thinking they'll take a step back with Sam Leavitt gone, or rather Sam Leavitt back, but losing Scatabo, the running back. Illinois at 12. Brett Bielema getting a lot of credit and preseason hype for what they did last year, beating South Carolina in the bowl game. And speaking of South Carolina, they come in one slot right behind them at number 13 in the preseason. Michigan comes in at number 14, Ole Miss at number 15. So you got two more SEC teams in there. South Carolina at 13, Ole Miss at 15. Those are kind of the two teams that we're looking at going, what are they going to do this year, right? South Carolina kind of got hot with Lenore Sellers, looked really good. Can they put together a run and surprise a lot of folks? And, you know, that's the thing is the surprise factor gone now. You know, everybody knows you're coming. Everybody knows how good Sellers is. And their schedule is absolutely brutal, man. I mean, it's Shane Beamer's going to have to preach the 1 week at a time approach because you literally cannot look ahead on that schedule. It is each week a tough test. They play a lot of the great teams in the SEC. Ole Miss, on the other hand, they've got a little bit of an easier draw of a schedule. And if Austin Simmons can settle in very quickly from day one, then Ole Miss is going to be a problem. And I've said this before, how funny and ironic would it be that the team with Jackson Dart and all those pieces they had last year, Princely Amon Mielen and Walter Nolan, that team misses the playoffs. But this new team with Austin Simmons and a bunch of new pieces through the transfer portal, Deshaun Stripling and others, makes the playoff. That would be certainly a funny thing to say. But look, Lane Kiffin's been knocking on the door the last few years, winning double-digit games every year the last 3 seasons. Can he get to the playoff this year? That's the question. Rounding out the rest of the lists, SMU comes in at 16, Florida at 17. The DJ Lagway hype. We're going to talk a little bit about it with Danny Wuerffel coming up in a little bit. But Florida 17, again, another one where the schedule is very tough. How do they persevere? Tennessee coming in number 18, Joey Aguilar, the expected starter at quarterback. What do they, how quickly does that offense gel? Do they have the horses in the backfield to replace Dylan Sampson and find consistency there? We know the defense can be very good again. So, those are kind of the teetering on the outside teams. When we talk about the 12-team playoff, if Florida wins a couple games they're not supposed to, they'll vault possibly into that grouping of maybe a playoff team. Same thing with Tennessee, although Tennessee's schedule, I think, is a little bit easier, more navigatable than Florida. The rest of the top 25, Indiana comes in at 19, Kansas State at number 20, Texas A&M at 21. This feels a little low compared to where a lot of people have been talking about A&M this offseason. We've said it, with that running game with Levy and Moss and Amari Daniels and Reuben Owens, a stud offensive line, Marcel Reed at quarterback. You went and got him some weapons at wide receiver. And the defense, Mike Elko is always going to have a strong defense. So I feel like that's a little low, almost a little disrespectful to have A&M that low on this list. But again, this is voted on by the coaches. And what do you always say with the coaches? It's like most of these, it's their SIDs, doing the voting on them. It's, the coaches themselves aren't, how much film are they watching? If you're the Tennessee coach, are you really watching a lot of Penn State film to decide where I'm going to rank them? A lot of this is based off of last year's success and what you bring back and that sort of thing. And then the last couple spots, non-SEC teams, Iowa State at 22, BYU at 23, Texas Tech 24, and Boise State at 25. So if we're looking at the SEC teams, it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them in the top 25. And as our buddy Chris Marler pointed out, this offseason, so much talk in the narrative of the SEC down and, the Big Ten has passed them and all this. And yet here we are. The SEC has the most teams, in the preseason poll, more than the Big Ten. So, and all the other conferences. So the SEC certainly getting the benefit of the doubt when it comes to the coaches poll, preseason poll here at the start of the college football season. Now, based on the rankings, who has the toughest go and who has the easiest go? Our buddies at Locked On were pointing this out in our group chat last night, saying, Florida, Oklahoma, and Mississippi State all play 7 of the ranked teams in the coaches poll. So that tells you right there, tough grind of a schedule that you got to run through. Florida has it. Oklahoma, Mississippi State. Look, nobody's expecting Mississippi State to do anything, but Oklahoma's one. Everybody's hopping on the John Mateer bandwagon, and yet here we are, Oklahoma not in the preseason top 25, yet they have to play 7 of those teams that are ranked. That is pretty brutal. Arkansas, Kentucky, and LSU all have to play 6. That's tough as well. Who got the easier draw? Well, Alabama, Ole Miss, and Texas only play 4 of ranked teams preseason in the coaches poll. And then who got the easiest draw? Auburn, Missouri, and Tennessee. So that tells you right there. Tennessee, we already talked about. The schedule is navigatable. If Joey Aguilar can live up to the hype and do what he needs to do, again, Tennessee, there's no reason why they couldn't. You can't make a case that they can't go 10-2 and make the playoff again. Missouri's that team that's teetering, right? Eli Drinkwitz has done a fantastic job there the last couple of years, but a new quarterback, Bo Perbula, and obviously I like Ahmad Hardy at running back. I think they're going to be very good, but again, they're just going to have to pull off maybe 1, if not 2 upsets, and they'll be right there in that mix with, again, only 3 preseason coaches poll top 25 teams. And then the other one is Auburn, right? Auburn has added all these big pieces. Jackson Arnold at quarterback, Eric Singleton through the portal as well. And then all the stud freshmen that they've had in his last 2 recruiting classes, including Camp Coleman at wide receiver. How quickly does Auburn gel? That is the big question with Hugh Freeze and company, and more highly touting of their young running backs and some of these freshmen that have just come in this past class. So again, if you're buying into Hugh Freeze and you think he's going to get the ship righted, Auburn, the schedule sets up well for you. Now they got to win on that opening Thursday night at Baylor. But if they do, again, who got the easiest draw as far as SEC schedules go? Auburn, Mizzou, and Tennessee right there with only playing 3 preseason ranked opponents, whereas Florida, Oklahoma, and Mississippi State have one of the toughest draws in playing 7 each. So there you have it. That is the preseason college football coaches poll officially out. I'm sure we'll get the AP poll here coming very soon. And we will officially be into it. I mean, we've got college football at the end of this month. For those not paying attention, we're in August now. We're going to have college football games here very, very soon. All right, when we return here on Locked On SEC, we will be joined by the great Danny Wuerffel, Heisman Trophy winner. We'll talk with him, get his thoughts on Billy Napier and the Florida Gators, as well as the SEC as a whole. More Locked On SEC coming your way after this. Hey, did you ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning for a big purchase, Monarch is going to put you in the driver's seat. We tell you guys all the time, it's like having your own personal CFO. It's going to give you full visibility and control over your finances. And they're not just a budgeting app. It is a complete financial command center with Monarch Money, where you can track all your accounts, all your investments, all your spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you can start building your wealth. And they're going to point out all those specific categories where you're wasting money, whether it's takeout or subscriptions, whatever it is. All those things add up and can be way more than you expect. Where is your money going? What's your one financial goal you've been meaning to get serious about? Take control of your finances today with Monarch Money. Use our code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com. Get 50% off your first year. That's 50, half off at monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Run along here from SEC Media Days, and one of our favorite guests to catch up with every year. He is an SEC legend. He is the one and only Danny Wuerffel sitting down with us right now. Danny, how are you, man? Welcome in.
Thanks. I appreciate it. It's a lot of electricity. The College Hall of Fame is always kind of happening, but it's extra happening right now, and football's getting near, my friend.
I always like to bring this up with you, but, I mean, this thing, it just grows bigger and bigger every year. It wasn't like this back in your playing days.
You know, I don't remember exactly, but, like, I remember being in an office taking phone calls and questions. I think our media day maybe was even at Gainesville, to where we went to some different rooms in the stadium and did some interviews. But this is a la Radio Row at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I was there for that, and this is a very, very similar to that.
Yeah, it's wild. It gets bigger and bigger, and it's madness. And college football gets bigger and bigger, and the evolution and all that kind of stuff. What do you make of where the game is now with NIL? I know back in the day, Danny Wuerffel would have had some big NIL deals, but revenue share, schools actually being able to pay the players. What do you make of all this?
I really like the changes that have coming, and I think there'll be some more. I hope there's some more coming. You know, the way that NIL was sort of thrust in there without really any regulation. You know, you've heard of the Wild Wild West, but to me it was I'm for players getting compensated. I think that's fair, but to call it NIL when it wasn't an NIL, to have it sort of there's no transparency, to have it through the third-party collectives, Along with the transfer portal as it is, no accountability. Like, to me, that was an unsustainable model for the health of college football, and I was very worried. I'm very pleased with what's happening now. I think it'll be really helpful. I think there'll be transparency, there'll be more accountability, and I think if there can be some guidance and some oversight on what a true NIL deal is, if it's truly a market rate NIL deal along with the revenue share, I think we're in a good spot.
Yeah, because it's twofold. You've got a Heisman Trophy winner, Danny Wuerffel, who can profit off his name, image, and likeness because he's popular. Businesses want him to be their spokesperson on all this, versus a 17-year-old who's never played a down in college football getting paid. It's a different levels.
Yeah, it just wasn't authentic. It wasn't transparent, and it wasn't, So I think we made strides. I think there's a lot of people working hard to continue to make it better, and I think it only will.
I've got some more football questions for you, but I do want to talk about why you're here, and obviously some great work going always on with the Allstate AFCA Good Works team, and then also the Wuerffel Trophy. I mean, you guys have so much great stuff going on. Talk about what you're here to promote.
Well, unless you're the best player on a good team, or unless you do something stupid, you usually don't get a story about you in the media.
That's true.
But along with all that's going on, and there are a lot of people that are me-focused in the transfer portal and NIL, there's also just an army of amazing young men that are great teammates and that are great in their communities, caring for people and doing unique, creative things to make the world better. So the Wuerffel Trophy for years, the Wuerffel Foundation has been trying to honor those guys and to tell their stories. Well, the AFCA Allstate Good Works team has been doing that as well. And so last year we merged our two programs. So in a sense, you have like the All-American team of Good Works, and then you kind of like the Heisman Trophy of Good Works.
Nice.
And it's been great. This year we have a record-breaking 118 nominees for the Allstate Wuerffel Trophy in Division I, and then beyond that, even for all of the Good Works team, there's 197 nominees, which is a record for that as well. So, great stuff. We talk about all these players that are doing great things on the field, but what they're doing off the field is pretty remarkable, and we get to highlight that, and that inspires me and hopefully inspires all of us to do a little bit more.
I know that was always a big part of you as a player, and even in the pros with Desire Street Academy and all that stuff. What is it? I mean, it's got to be inspiring to you when you see these young athletes, 18, 19, 20 years old, wanting to actually go do community work, and there's no cameras, there's no PR and all that. They genuinely want to do it.
Yeah, a few years ago there was a player named Teton Saltis, and he had grown up on an Indian reservation in South Dakota, and he was the winner of the Wuerffel Trophy. He came to our banquet, and we're honoring him, and we hand him his trophy, and he kind of like, he's a big guy, and I'm like, what, is it heavy? And he like smiled. Well, his grandma said, well, he won't tell you this, but like 2 days ago on the reservation, we were driving, and there was a burning house. He ran into the house, picked up a guy, burned his hands, and saved the guy's life. And I'm like, why didn't he say anything? He's like, it's just how he is. I'm like, I feel like I'm a decent guy, but had I saved someone in a fire, I would have led with that at the press conference.
Seriously.
And here's someone that's not doing it for notoriety or anything, and just really, really impressive. And this year we've got so many guys. Even here in the SEC, you talk about DJ Lagway as a player, but he's done tremendous community service. You've got Michael Taft with Texas, and he had a tragedy where one of his friends passed away from a fentanyl overdose, and then now he's created a foundation, and they're doing awareness around that issue in Texas, and just helping a lot of kids. You've got LT Overton at Alabama, who's done a lot of fantastic work, and Jordan Hall at Georgia. Just 150 hours here of community service is remarkable for a student athlete.
Yeah, and what's crazy is you hear those and it's not in punishment for something. Like some guys like,
it's not community.
I had buddies that had to do that in college for maybe drinking a little too much or whatever.
That's funny.
More with Danny Wuerffel in just a second, but first, guys, it is time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, this one is a hole-in-one for your energy game. And let's be honest, some days on the court or off it, you just need that little extra boost, that pick-me-up to stay sharp and energized. Go check them out today. Golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors, and that grape, ginger, lime flavor is going to give you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without chasing down the beverage cart. If you go to 5hourenergy.com today That's the number 5, ourenergy.com. You can use our promo code LOCKEDONGolf and get 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. Whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion-flavored 5-hour energy shots today. You mentioned DJ Lagway. I did want to get your thoughts on him. We're scheduled to have him on later today. He's becoming a rock star already. I mean, we knew how big he was coming out of the Houston area, 5-star recruit, and out of Willis, Texas. And he was firm to Florida, and he wanted to go prove what he could do there. But what did you see out of him? Because certainly down the stretch in year one, I mean, they got red hot, and you could, I mean, inarguably saved Billy's job. What did you make of what DJ did down the stretch last year?
I mean, remarkable in a lot of different ways. And, when you develop a quarterback, a younger one, in high school and then early in college, you're trying to get their footwork stable because, you got to get your footwork right to make great throws, especially downfield. You really need to understand the offense to make the right decisions and all those things. And as you develop, you hope that eventually they'll be able to kind of take those foundation kind of building blocks and then do something special, make a key downfield throw at the end of a game when it matters. And DJ kind of shows up backwards. He's like, I want to make that throw, and I can make that throw. And I don't care if I'm jumping or falling. I don't have to have my base yet. I don't even know all the offense as good as others. But so he's kind of got that X factor, and now he's got a whole year to better understand the offense, to be able to understand all the verbiage and running that to where you don't have to think as much, you can react. I think we've got weapons this year. I'm really excited about having Tre Wilson back. I think that's going to be a great piece of the puzzle. You got a solid really good offensive line, and
how about
great
Dallas
running back
Wilson
room
in the spring game?
And then and you've got like the him and some others that are great.
Sturdivant from UCLA.
Yeah, I mean, so I think you've got a really good opportunity this year to take another step forward, and he's just also has the intangibles. Good leader, does the right things. Just really, really impressed with him.
The rumblings, he's had a shoulder injury. They say he's going to play through it and all that. Does that give you pause for concern at all?
Well, yes. I mean, if you're getting ready to go to the Kentucky Derby and your horse's leg is a little bit hurt, that's not a good sign.
Right.
But I think the good news is he's been throwing all summer, and it seems to be doing fine and doing well. And so, kind of like, as the end of the year went, the Georgia game and the Texas game kind of, when you have them in there, you got a great chance and a high ceiling. And if you don't, you're probably not going to have as much success.
On a typical game day Saturday, as your playing years are more and more in the past, are you are you a passionate fan on Saturday watching the Gators? Are you throwing stuff when something goes wrong? What are you as a fan?
So, in general, as a football fan in general, most people think I know a lot more than I do. So, like, I get on some of these shows and they're like, oh, tell us what you think about the quarterback at so-and-so. Like, I have no idea who that is. But when it comes to Gator football, I follow that very closely, kind of close to the program. We have a Gator-made Man of the Month, which is sort of like the character and leadership, and I help promote that. And so I get to know the players, really like Coach Napier and the coaching staff. And so my wife would say I get pretty upset watching a game when they're not doing well.
Let everybody know too, you're still active as an athlete, but on the pickleball court.
Yeah, like a lot of Americans, I've become addicted to this silly little sport that's actually an amazing sport. Anybody can play it and have fun, and Roger Federer could train his whole life and be good at it and still enjoy it. And, I just hit 50. It's a little bit like golf. You have pro pickleball and senior pro pickleball. So I guess I finally made it. I'm 50 years old, and I'm playing senior pro pickleball and loving it.
I think you made us all feel Danny Wuerffel's 50. My goodness.
51, if that helps.
Where does the time go, man?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Last question for you. We've been asking everybody this. Just off the top of your head, don't even think too hard about it. Favorite movie of all time?
Ooh, the first one that comes to my mind for some reason is Amistad.
Oh, yeah.
It's a really amazing, hard movie to watch, kind of about the slave trade. But I tell you, recently, the movie that gave me the most joy Was it last summer or summer before, the new Top Gun?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Maverick.
that brought out emotions in me from the first song.
Yeah.
It's like something about that movie really moved with me.
So that means the original Top Gun had to be high on your list for the sequel.
I did. I love the Top Gun movie for sure, but I just don't think I've had that feeling of nostalgia. I guess I remember when there was one of those Star Wars movies with Kylo Ren and the lightsaber. He thought he was getting it and went by him, and then the young woman caught it.
Yeah.
That brought back some feelings from when I was, in 9 or 10 years old watching Return of the Jedi. But Top Gun.
I love it. Billy Napier, a little bit of a cinephile. I love it. One more time, remind everybody about all the great stuff you guys have going on with the Wuerffel Trophy. And then is there a timeline here on kind of when you'll start kind of whittling down for the trophy?
Yeah, so the Allstate AFCA Good Works team and the nominees for the Allstate Wuerffel Trophy have just been announced yesterday. There's 118 nominees on that sense. And then out of that 118, next month we're going to select the 11 that will be the members of the Allstate AFCA Good Works team, which will also be the semifinalists for the Allstate Wuerffel Trophy. And then kind of later in November, we will announce the finalists, and then the winner of the Allstate Wuerffel Trophy will be announced on the College Football Award Show in December.
Very rarely do you see a guy who had such a big impact on the field have more of an impact off the field post-playing career than Danny Wuerffel. But appreciate your time, man. Congrats on all the great work that you do and continue to do in the community.
Thanks for having me. Keep up the good work.
And that's going to do it on this edition of Locked On SEC. Our thanks again to Danny Wuerffel for joining us. Always great to talk with him and all the great things he has going with the AFCA Allstate Good Works team, and of course with the Wuerffel Trophy as well. I'm Chris Gordy. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow right here on Locked On SEC. Again, thank you for making us your first listen. For your second listen, you can check out the Portal Show with Brian Smith, doing a great job. Keep you up to date on all the latest movement, recruiting, all that stuff. He's got you covered with the Portal wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Chris Gordy. This has been Locked On SEC. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.